Hello, and welcome to the Fear Channel, a channel with regular broadcasts telling the most chilling of urban legends, ghost stories, and forays into the darkest corners of the human mind. Those faint of heart, or prone to night terrors, should proceed at their own risk. Tonight's presentation is Lonely Ghosts. The notion of the afterlife is an eternal enigma. While everyone eventually dies, few have claimed to see the other side. The ancient Egyptians were well known for dedicating their entire lifespan in preparation for what came beyond. Some would even claim that nothing exists at all beyond this mortal coil. Over time, a wide variety of different beliefs and interpretations have existed. But to those who claim to have encountered entities from beyond the grave, the world of the afterlife is all too real, especially when those encounters take on a particularly dark tone. One woman, by the name of December, recounts the tale of a special friend of hers from when she was 5. The friend's name was Janie. December later became aware of the notion of an imaginary friend, but she clearly remembers Janie's presence as distinctly tangible. She was a little blonde girl around the same age, and they played together whenever December was alone in the house. December never wanted to talk about where Janie came from, or how she got there, and she was strongly compelled not to tell anyone about her, because she didn't want people to ask a lot of questions. December recalls that Janie couldn't play with toys because she couldn't pick them up. One time, December tried to get Janie to go to preschool with her, but Janie found it impossible to leave the garage where they were waiting. Another thing that struck December as odd was that Janie couldn't lie down or go to bed. Instead, Janie would stand up in the middle of the bed for some time until going away. One day, December found Janie standing mid-air on the other side of the household balcony, which was about 2 stories off the ground. Janie told December that if she wanted to be with her forever, always be little, and be able to touch her, she had to squeeze through the railing. December tried, but got her head stuck and had to call her mom to pull her out. She made up a story about playing a game to not worry her mother. December's family moved from the house a couple years later, but the memories of Janie lasted well into her adult life. There is also the tale of a man whose 7-year-old son claims to see an elderly Native American woman by the lake of a family cottage, even though no one else in the family has ever been able to see her. Whenever the young boy sees the old woman, she is pointing at him. One time, she asked the young boy to come with her. The boy's response was that he couldn't, because he still had things to do. The boy's father was somewhat taken aback, because his son was talking to thin air, and the response he gave isn't something ordinarily said by a 7-year-old. Another man recounts a story from when he was 5. His family lived in an old building. Unbeknownst to them, the building was once an orphanage. Him and his 4 brothers would sleep in one room. Sometimes, a little boy would join them. He was dressed like an urchin child of the late 1800s. He would walk out of the wall and ask the young boy to eat the wallpaper. Even as a 5-year-old, the young boy knew not to eat wallpaper because it was poisonous. Lastly, one woman recalls a story told by her stepmother that happened to her when she was 9 years old. She also lived in an old house, and whenever she was in the basement, she would always see a pure black figure, and the sight of it would scare her immensely. Even before her encounters, she'd always get a horrible feeling in her gut. One day, she was home alone, and it was her day to do laundry. So she went downstairs, and the figure was right in front of her. The door slammed shut behind her, and she looked and saw the figure's arm leaning on the door. It grabbed her neck and started to choke her. She was trying to kick behind her, but her feet did not meet any solid figure. She started to pray for it to go away, and right before she passed out, the figure disappeared. There are several eerie trends that these stories have in common. The first is that these entities are only visible to young children. The second is the spirit's urge for the young to join them on the other side. What would cause the dead to experience such gripping loneliness? From encounters like these, it would seem there is little that is great about the great beyond.